Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. Today, it's my pleasure to welcome Audrey Jameson. She's president with Marketing Kitchen. So Audrey, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
To get us started, I wanted to ask, how did you get started in the printing industry? What inspired you to really pursue printing as a career?
I think most people, myself included, we accidentally fall into it, or in my case, a little bit out of desperation. After university, I waitressed a lot, which kind of comes back into play in sales. I always say waitressing is the foundation of sales. And I sold advertising for just over 6 years. Use the old school term, dialing for dollars. You're peddling space. That really got me into cold calling and loving sales, which again was not a career that I thought I would ever be in. Then I left selling advertising because it was 1997. I thought the world is in software. So I moved into software sales, which I hated. And I would say I only hated it because I was actually really bad at it. And you never love anything you're not good at. I begged my brother, Rob, for a job, and I begged him, and I was like, I can sell. He had one of his sales reps, Janice, was doing extremely well. And I was like, I can do this. Janice sold advertising before she came to work for you. After wearing him down for about 6 months, he finally hired me, and he owned a good-sized direct mail and fulfillment shop. And we actually did a lot of fulfillment in those days, but we're also doing quite a bit of direct mail for companies like IKEA, both the Canadian portion and the US portion. So he brought me on, and I literally just kind of fell into it, but I actually fell in love with it within a couple months. What I loved about it was the fact you were actually selling a service. So in advertising, when a budget got cut and they took all their print dollars and put it in broadcast, there was nothing you could do about it, or almost nothing. In selling print and direct mail, you just had to be really good at it. You had to offer ideas. You had to offer suggestions. You just don't put the ink on the paper. You're always thinking. It's all about service. And that I could control. I fell in love with that aspect of the business. And that was how I got started.
That's really interesting that you started waitressing, which, like you said, it's customer service and sales in certain ways.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're hustling. You're meeting new people every 2 minutes. You're servicing them. You're upselling them. You're working for tips, which is sales. So absolutely, I think it is the foundation for sure for all good salespeople. Unfortunately, at quite a young age, my brother got sick. And company at that point we were almost 200 employees. It was called the FSA Group. In 2011, he passed away. And just before he passed away, he had sold the business to a much larger data and forms print company here. And at that point, I thought, I already worked for 2 large companies when I was selling software, and I was not made out to be a good corporate citizen. But I'm going to give this a go because the company that purchased us was extremely empathetic to my situation working there, to my family, to all of the foundations that Rob supported. So they really treated us extremely well. Like they were a couple thousand employees, so very different environment. And I knew I wouldn't last there forever. So 2.5 years and I was getting antsy. But I think it was when they closed down our plant in Markham and moved us. They created a satellite sales office for us, but I'm pretty hands-on. They moved most of the employees and all the production work to Mississauga, or if you are familiar with the Toronto area, it was quite a distance. That was when I chose to go out on my own. And I thought, I'm going to try and build my own business and do this, and I'll just broker and get started that way. And I've got some really loyal customers, and I really understand their business. And then if that doesn't work out and I fall flat on my face, I will go work for someone else. I will be a sales rep for them. But at least I won't be telling them how to run their business because I will have already tried and failed. So that's kind of how Marketing Kitchen got started. So I started it on April 1st, 2014.
That is quite a journey to get to where you are. What was it about print that really interested you and really inspired you to want to start your own business in print?
I think like anything in life, when you're good at something and you love it, they always say, if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. I think having sold magazine advertising, being tactile, moving into the print world, which was also very tactile and direct mail. I loved working with our clients on direct mail campaigns because you could see the results with them. You could tweak creative offers. You could take a look at human behavior when the responses came in. I just love that whole aspect of it. And again, I loved providing a service for clients. I loved providing ideas. One of my sales reps and I say, we have a million ideas. Some of them are actually even pretty good. We love being able to offer those up. Yeah, it was paper stocks and ink and creatives and the graphics and the design and pulling it all together and coming up with new formats. All of that I fell in love with. And again, I was good at it. So when you're good at something, you usually tend to love it.
Yeah, and especially when you're getting good results, your customers are happy and they're maybe not showering praise on you, but they're really happy
Yeah.
about what you're doing and what you're doing for them and how you're helping their businesses grow. It's symbiotic in a way because you're helping them, they're happy with their thing, they let you know, which makes you even happier to be working with them, and it just keeps going that way.
Absolutely. And then they leave and they go somewhere else and they bring you along. So now you have that original customer. Now you have a new client. And then you are very confident. And I'm one that loves to cold call because I love that whole chase.
You
know,
love
you're
cold
confident.
calling?
Yes. Because it's fun, right? You can be anybody you want to on the other end of that email or the other end of that phone or that fun direct mail piece you're sending them. You're not actually physically knocking on their door and getting it slammed in your face. But to know that a customer is here because of you, if they didn't call in, it wasn't a referral, but you actually reached out and landed that business, that's probably one of the best feelings in the world.
I just can't believe that you like cold calling. I think that's probably a salesperson's worst nightmare is to be given a list and say, "Here, have at it, go prospect." But for you, you cherish that time to really start making those relationships because that's honestly what it grows into for you is you get those deeper relationships and it starts with that first phone call.
Yeah, my dad once said to me, "How much did you sell today?" And I said, "Oh, I sold 4 ads and doing this." And he said, "How many no's did you take?" And I said, "I didn't take any." He goes, "Well, then you didn't sell anything. You just took their order." So I've always kind of thought of that. And I'm like, yeah, I guess you're kind of right. I mean, I did make the call, but it always brings me back to it's that just staying in touch with people. I have a new rep here and she says, just say to people, I don't need to be your number one, but maybe I could be your number two. And then just staying in touch and show the tenacity and the persistence of keeping in touch with them, because then that shows them what they're going to get if they ever decide to move the business to you. And so I love that long chase, although I don't want it to be too long. It's really rewarding. And I'm working with my sales reps on that now. We're on a big campaign and attracting new clients. And we're always looking for new customers, but we kind of ramped it up this year. And I can see them starting to have fun with it. Now, they would never admit that to me, but I see them. And my sales staff are 5 ladies, actually 6 ladies. It's a great team. And I'm loving watching them do the cold calling, or we call it warm calling, because we send them some pretty fun stuff before we start to call and email them. So they already kind of know who we are before we actually get on the phone to them, or I mean, who answers their phone these days? Really, it's through email.
Mm-hmm. So you're warming them up. So you have a warming period.
Correct. And we've sent them some great stuff. So they're probably going to send us an email back or maybe even pick up the phone.
That certainly is going to help in a cold call or in, as you say, a warm call in this case.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always, when people cold call me, which is almost daily, I always school them. I'm like, you know what? Send me something really cool in the mail. Send it a couple times. Show some tenacity. Show some persistence. And if you're still around in 4 months, then maybe I'll entertain an appointment. They all go away.
Amazing, right?
It's a polite way to get rid of salespeople that call you. And for the one that hangs in there, well, then they get a shot.
And then you can really see if it's something you need or something you don't. But at that point, you've kind of weeded through the people that really they're just dialing for dollars at that point. They want to take the order.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one thing that in talking with a lot of women in the printing industry, obviously it tends to be male dominated. And there's some statistics that we can look at in companies overall, not just in the printing industry, but nearly 29% of the C-suite roles are held by women, which means that the balance of that is held by men. So how can certain industries like printing address barriers to reach those top C-suite positions for women? Is there things that we can do as women to really help us go and climb that ladder into the C-suite?
I think for sure, I've never actually seen any barriers, and maybe it's just in the nature of the companies I've worked for, or I just was a bit blind to them, or didn't really care about them. But I think as women, we just need to be confident and we need to put our hat in the ring. So many times I hear people kind of talk about, I was passed over for that promotion, or they feel that they were passed over. And I'm like, what did you do to actually show that you were interested or put your name in there? Sometimes I have to question, how do I want to say this? Are there really barriers, especially in the print industry? Or do we just think that they're barriers because, especially in years past and maybe more in a commercial offset print environment, it just tended to be male dominated?
Mm-hmm.
And just by the sheer ratio of men to women, that more men are in the C-suites in that industry. But I think that as long as you're confident and you know where you want to go, so if you want to get into one of those C-level positions, you chat with your managers and your bosses along the way and you say, what would it take? Or if you see someone in a position that you want, talk to their boss and find out why they're so good. If someone's a leader in an organization or a leading salesperson or a leading project manager, what makes them tick? What makes them so good at their job? Ask a lot of questions. Don't just ask for the promotion. Ask what you need to do to get that promotion or what skills you need to acquire. I don't see the barriers, but it might just also be by the nature of the companies I've worked at or the people that I surround myself with.
Which certainly helps to encourage you. Obviously, you are a women owner of Marketing Kitchen. You have 6 females that are in your sales rep. Should I ask how many more women you have in the company?
Oh my gosh. People come here for a tour. So we have about 60 employees. We have this awesome 40,000 square foot facility. You walk in it and you're just like, it's woman owned just by the decor and the attention to detail. And we'll be taking a tour and halfway through the tour, someone will turn to me and say, do you employ any men? And I'll be like, yes, we do. We just hide them. So I'm going to say we're probably a ratio, 70-30. Maybe 65-35, but a lot more women than men. And that's not by choice. I literally just hire the best person for the job. I don't care I care what their background is in terms of skill set, but it doesn't matter to me their age or their gender. Do I think you're going to be a great fit in the company? Sometimes it doesn't even matter their skills. It's more about, are you going to fit in culturally and can I teach you what I need to teach you?
Mm-hmm. A lot of it's also could be attitude. Like you said, can you be teaching? Are you humble enough to be willing to be trained?
Right. Yes. And that's what I love about women because we're so vulnerable. And I think we tend to ask more questions. I think that's been the secret of my success and the success of Marketing Kitchen. There's no question that I won't ask. And I will ask the stupidest questions. And I've met some amazing male print shop owners, direct mail shop owners. Most of them are in the US, just by nature of some of the shows that I've attended.
Mm-hmm.
And I will call them up and I will ask them the stupidest questions. And they might have a laugh. And I'm sure in their head, they're thinking, how does this business function? But they always give me the answer, but I don't really care. I'm like, I don't know this. Especially when I'm shopping for new machinery, I will definitely use the network and call men or women. Unfortunately, it tends to be more men because they're the owners and they tend to be more passionate about the technology and the machinery.
Mm-hmm. So you're not afraid to ask those questions. You're not afraid to cold call. You're not afraid to ask any questions. So do you ever get the feeling like you're the only one in the room because you're a woman? And I guess you just deal with it by just not dealing with it. Is that how it works?
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to matter. I feel like I can hold my own and more so have it's lonely at the top. Like sometimes you own the business and you're going through a crisis. And even my husband can't relate to what I'm going through from a business perspective. So I think that's when it feels lonely. There's so many times when I'm at a print event and I'm one of few women in the room and definitely one of few owners in the room. I love women in the industry, and I think it's amazing, especially when I meet another female business owner that is in the print business, whether it's large format, direct mail, or even if it's a binder shop. You do feel this kinship all of a sudden, but it doesn't bother me if I'm the only woman in the room. I'll still ask the same stupid questions. And it's all
I'm sure
good.
it's not a stupid question. I'm going to say that.
Some of them are, but that's okay. I get the answers. That's what I need. Stay curious.
How do we help other women to be that open, to be that curious, or to be that confident to ask those questions? Is it through mentorship? Is it through other women? How do we get all women to really have that same kind of attitude that you have, that it doesn't matter? You need to know things because you need to know them for your job. You don't care what it makes you look like.
That's a great question. And I could tell you certainly that 25-year-old Audrey is not nearly as confident as 56-year-old Audrey. So I definitely think you grow into your confidence. But I would say, especially young women, surround yourself by strong women if you can. And as a strong woman myself, and I have a lot of young ladies working here, which just fuels me. I love it. Be confident. Know your stuff. Work hard, stay super curious, keep asking questions, just keep asking questions. Do not worry. Get really good at what you do, because then you'll actually get passionate about it, and don't take no for an answer. And I think it's really important, and I should probably do it more, to tell them what they're doing extremely well. Give them that confidence. I always think as a parent, the best thing you can do for your kids is to give them confidence. They have confidence, the world's their oyster. So I think that is the same with your employees. If you can give them confidence, and as I say this, I'm maybe living in a glass house and think, I have to make sure that I'm doing that, because being curious, asking questions, but being confident about that, it's pretty key.
And I think for us, a lot of our actions, we want to maybe correct bad behavior. So you're always telling them or telling people, oh, you did this wrong, or maybe you could do this better. But in some ways that could be discouraging. So instead, why not do more of the encouraging and really, hey, you did a great job on this project. Thank you for being so attentive to the details, etc. Because I think it also helps, like you said, build that confidence.
It does. And easier said than done, because we tend to gravitate to what's going wrong, right? I can micromanage like there's no tomorrow. And it really just put out all the flaws in a project, as opposed to going, hey, we got it out on time. Let's course correct on the next one. But agreed. I think people do, need to, on any project, even if it's gone totally sideways, there has to be some great aspects of that project, or at least some great takeaways.
Whether it goes good or bad, there's something to learn from anything that we've done. So what are those at that point? Maybe something goes completely sideways, but there still has to be good from that, because obviously the job has finally gotten out. It's finally done. What can we learn so that way we can make this better the next time we have this type of job?
Yeah, absolutely. Just take the takeaways to improve the future.
Through your career, you've had many different roles. What would you say would be one of the most difficult challenges that you faced in your career? Was it buying and starting the business? Was it something else?
So that's a great question. I've definitely had lots of challenges. I think when my brother passed away, just getting up and going to work was a challenge, because if you think about it, when a family member passes away, you can go to work and you can escape.
But it was
if a work colleague passes away, you can go away from work to your home life and escape. But this was kind of all around me. So I would say that was a huge challenge. But from that, I think I developed an inner strength that was probably how I could leave a well-paying job to a completely non-paying job for a couple of years. I think I found an inner strength in me having gone through that. Certainly one challenge. COVID was another challenge, right? Now you're running a business. I think at that point I had 50 employees and the world is shutting down. So that was a huge deal. How am I going to keep these people employed? We just went through a Canada Post strike for 5 weeks, where we are a direct mail digital shop. 90% of what we do goes out in the mail. When you don't have a mail service for 5 weeks and you have 60 employees, That is also another tough challenge.
Yeah.
These people still have mortgages to pay. They still have kids to put through university. And we're like a family here. So for me, it was like, okay, we're going to, even if it means taking every piece of inventory off those shelves and wiping those shelves down, people will have a job here. They can choose to stay home if they want, but there will be a paycheck here for them. Laying them off was not going to be an option for me. I just felt I couldn't do that to them. Fortunately, it got resolved just before Christmas. But again, that was another challenge. So I'd say there's been lots of small challenges along the way. I do feel that through all of this, we always come out, especially through COVID and then through this recent Canada Post strike, we come out stronger.
Mm-hmm. And with COVID, it's something we never really anticipated. So how do you even plan for something like that? With a strike, maybe you can plan a little bit if there's inklings of it coming. That's hard to plan for these kinds of things.
Yeah. And with a strike that's mail, yeah, we used alternative couriers, but the mail is the mail. There's only one mail system in Canada, just like the US.
Mm-hmm.
We were being told it was going to be rotational. So the mail might be delayed by a day, but not in a million years would I have ever thought it would almost go on for 5 weeks, 100% full shutdown before Christmas at our busiest time of the year. That's the time we make the money, November and early December. That's when most of the campaigns, that's when all my staff get overtime. So I never anticipated that. And there wasn't even a plan I could put in place because there is no other way to get the pieces out as cost efficient. You don't have an option.
The other thing is people are driving house to house, handing out the direct mail.
Yeah, which is almost impossible. Trust me, we thought of that. We brainstormed, but that's so yeah, lots of small challenges that come your way where you don't think you're going to get out of them. I can laugh about it now. If we were doing this a month ago, I'd probably be crying. Chatting with you, but here we are.
Now, in terms of your president, you're running a business, you still have a family.
I have 2 kids and a husband. My kids now are 24 and 26, but they were just 13 and 15 when I started the business.
How do you manage a home life, a work life? Does one take priority over the other? How do you have that balance in your position?
First off, you marry a saint, and that's rule number 1. It's interesting because I've always worked a ton. Even when I worked for my brother's company, to me, my sales territory was my own little business. And I always would say to people, I am a better mom for going to work every day. And I'm a more organized human being for going to work every day. And I look at my staff here and I look at all the working moms that have young kids. And they're just going concerns. They get it done. They don't overthink it. They're busy. They come to work. They leave. They go home. And it's that old adage where, if you need something done, give it to a busy person, right? You just do it. Like I said, my husband, super supportive. And I was very lucky. I could work late because he was always home on time. I would do the morning drop off with the kids. So that gave me the flexibility to work long hours. And kids were just super resilient to it. And I'm not going to lie to you, we had help in the ways. I had nannies and people assisting me for sure. And you just got to delegate and be able to get the stuff done. It just makes you a more productive person. You don't waste any minute of the day. You plan well, which is a trait that then you can take to the business as well. But rule number 1, family comes first. So I say to my staff, if your kid's in a concert or they're at the cross-country race or anything like that, you have to go. You can give me those hours back later. I'm not easy to work for, so don't think I'm all like, no, kumbaya, take the day off. Oh, no. But go to that race, go see that play, because that's only going to happen once. And next thing you know, they're going to be off at school. And I don't want you to miss that time because they grow up so fast. So that is rule number 1. Rule number 2 is log in later tonight, give me those hours back.
Or maybe you're working on a Saturday. There's always going to be work that can be done.
It's give and take. But I don't want, especially when the kids are young, anything like that. And now, too, we have lots of team members that have elderly parents, and they need to take care of them. So the same rules apply. You got to do what you got to do. Let's just be fair about this. But if your mom has a doctor's appointment and she doesn't drive or she can't drive, then you have to go and take her and take care of it. And you can probably deal with your work later.
Yeah. Like I said, work's always going to be there.
Absolutely.
It'll be there waiting for you because I don't think anybody's going to pick it up. Unless, of course, there's an emergency. Then there's a whole different set. But for your day-to-day stuff, it's a whole different story. Looking back at your career and what you've done in the printing industry, this is probably my favorite question that I like to wrap up with is knowing what you know now. So, in your years of being in the printing industry and selling, starting as a waitress, all of those things that you've had as experience, what advice would you give to yourself if you were just starting out now?
That's a great question. I think a couple things. First off, I would have probably been a better student in university and maybe actually attended more of the classes. Don't get me wrong, I graduated, but I was no scholar. I think that there are so many courses that are being offered when my kids were going through university that I was like, oh, I would have loved to take that. So I think one would have been a better student. Two, one of the things I wish, and I still could do this today, take more management courses. I do feel that managing people is an art, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in. People are your business. You want to be fair. You want to manage them well. And again, it's not that I can't do it now, but I would say having looked at somehow to get some more people management experience or people management courses or something a little bit more ongoing, because I do find that probably is one of the biggest challenges. And then I think now that I love the print industry, I've been in the print industry for over 20 plus years, I really would have loved to be able to learn to run a press, make plates, all of that. There's just so much I feel that I don't fully understand. And I'm like, oh my gosh, just the way different inks lie on different paper stocks and all the different inks out there. And yes, I've learned a little bit of it, but not to the same degree that some of my business associates know, because they actually ran a press in their younger years. So I think that would be one thing I would love to go back and do, is actually learn how to run a press.
I'm sure there's people that would probably take you up and say, hey, come on over here. I can train you.
Right? That's what I need to do. I need to go, because we're, again, a full digital shop here. So I can run our lasers kind of, but I need to ask one of the colleagues in the industry to say, can I just work in your press room for a day? I'm sure they'd kick me out. So there's a few things I wish I could do a do-over on, but really, I think that in the totality of all, I never look in the rearview mirror. I'm like, you just go forward, and I don't think I would change a thing.
Which is good. So any other specific advice that you would give yourself right now?
No, it's funny. People always say you got to start taking more time for yourself. And I'm thinking, if you love work, which I do, then why do I need to take more time for myself? If I love working on a Saturday or a Sunday and that gives me joy, then that's what I need to do. But I think someone looking from the outside in would say, oh, you need to take more time for yourself. And I always sit back and go, oh, should I be taking time for myself? But I think you got to go with your gut. My gut instinct has never let me down. So my gut instinct says just keep doing what I'm doing.
And you're running a successful company and you have a lot of happy people working for you. So something is going right.
Yeah. I always say not every day will be good, but there's some good in every day, as we joke about here. So yes, absolutely. I'm really blessed. And again, it comes down to timing, a bit of luck, hard work, and being with the right people every day.
Audrey, it was a pleasure taking some time to chat with you today. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much, Denise. It was great chatting with you as well.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.